Welcome to our deep dive.
Oh, cool.
We're going to be tackling The Princess Bride today.
But The Princess Bride.
Not in the way that you
it.
might expect. We're not going to be analyzing the plot or the characters.
Okay.
You already love those.
Yeah.
Instead, we're going to be exploring the story behind the story.
Interesting.
The real-life adventure of the book's creation and its author, William Goldman.
So the meta story behind The Bride.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And what's fascinating here
Yeah?
is that our source material
Okay.
is Goldman's own book on the subject.
Oh, wow.
Not like a typical biography or anything, but
memoir on
a
that.
personal, insightful look behind the curtain.
Yeah. Cool.
So imagine you're not just a fan,
Okay.
but someone who is really curious about the man behind the magic.
Yeah.
What inspired him?
Okay.
What were his struggles, his triumphs? That's what we're going to be uncovering.
I like it.
And trust me,
Okay.
Goldman's life was full of twists and turns,
Oh, really?
worthy of a Princess Bride plot.
That's great.
To start,
Okay.
we need to go back to his childhood.
Okay.
He had this teacher, Miss Roginski, who ignited his love for adventure story.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah,
Teachers can be so influential
Teachers can be really influential on young minds.
when you're at that age.
And it wasn't just a passing phase. Goldman talks about the movie Gunga Din,
Gunga Din.
really solidifying this obsession.
Oh, wow.
This is a great story about him sneaking onto an army base
What?
just to see it,
Wow.
even after vowing to never go back to one.
Oh, that's so funny.
Sneaking onto an army base.
Wow.
It seems like adventure was more than just entertainment for him.
Yeah.
Almost like a need.
Like a primal urge. Like he had to do it.
This intense drive to experience adventure, even breaking rules to do so, really foreshadows his career as a writer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Wouldn't you say?
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got this foundation of adventure.
Right.
But how does the Princess Bride itself come into the picture? This is where it gets personal.
Ooh, personal.
Goldman reveals his father read him The Princess Bride
Okay.
during a childhood illness.
Oh.
That's such a classic image.
I love that.
A parent comforting their child with a story,
Yes.
but knowing Goldman,
Yeah.
there's more to it.
Of course.
Right. His father was nearly illiterate in English.
Oh, wow.
Yet somehow,
Oh, really?
he managed to read him
Okay.
this complex, fantastical story.
Amazing.
Wait, if he couldn't really read English,
Right.
how did he read The Princess Bride?
Yeah.
This feels almost like a story within the story
Yeah.
that we're exploring.
A meta story.
It really does.
It does.
And it makes you think about the power of this book.
How it transcended language to create a connection
All right.
between father and son.
Yeah,
It's like it spoke to them on a deeper level.
totally.
Definitely. So years pass.
Okay.
Goldman grows up.
He grows up.
And eventually, he gets the idea to create an abridged version of The Princess Bride,
What's that?
focusing on just the best parts.
Yeah, the good parts version.
The good parts version.
Okay.
He wanted to share the magic of the story,
Right.
but in a more streamlined way.
In a more concise way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone loves a good shortcut, right?
Yeah, who doesn't?
Exactly.
Especially with books.
There's even this funny story about his wife
What?
finding an out-of-print copy.
Oh, no.
And Goldman's practically frantic to get his hands on it.
Wow.
It sounded like he was going to great lengths
Yeah.
to make this good parts version happen.
I mean, he really wanted to do this.
What do you think that says about his understanding of the story and his ability to connect with readers?
I think he deeply understood the story.
Right.
He knew what was important. He knew what would resonate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so we have the adventurous kid,
Right.
the powerful childhood memory, and then the grown-up author
Yeah.
determined to share this special story.
Okay.
But this is where it gets a little
Tricky.
tricky. How?
I've heard whispers about a mysterious author named S. Morgenstern.
Morgenstern.
What is that all about?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, this is where Goldman introduces a layer of metafiction.
Fiction.
Basically, fiction that plays with the idea of being fiction.
Oh,
He claimed The Princess Bride
okay.
wasn't actually written by him,
Right.
but by this fictional Florinese author.
So he made up an author.
Yeah.
Why would he do that?
Was he trying to trick people?
I don't know.
Not exactly.
What do you think?
More playful than that. It's
Right.
a way to add another dimension to the storytelling. I see.
Make readers question
Mm-hmm.
what's real and what's imagined.
Yeah.
So he was already breading the lines between fiction and reality,
Yeah.
even before the story begins.
Yeah, that's cool.
Exactly.
He was already playing with the reader.
That's like a secret game.
Yeah.
He's playing with the reader,
Right.
adding this layer of humor and intrigue
Totally.
right from the start.
Yeah.
And that's pure Goldman, isn't it?
It really is.
Always one step ahead.
Yeah.
Now, when The Princess Bride was adapted into a film, there was a particularly interesting casting choice.
Oh, I know this.
Andre the Giant.
As Fezzik.
Andre the Giant, yeah.
I can only imagine the logistics
Right.
of casting someone of that stature.
How tall was he? Like 7'4"?
That couldn't have been easy.
No, it could have been.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Finding Andre was a challenge. He was this wrestling superstar, always on the move.
Yeah, all over the place.
Goldman describes him as being bigger than the Pentagon. Bigger than the Pentagon.
Which really paints a picture.
Wow.
That's a pretty vivid description.
Yeah, it is.
So how did they manage to wrangle a wrestling giant for this role?
Good question.
Persistence. Goldman was determined to cast Andre.
Oh, okay.
Even though he had very limited acting experience.
Right.
And a strong French accent.
Yeah.
It sounds like a recipe for disaster.
A little bit, yeah.
But I have a feeling it turned out okay.
I think it did. It did.
Goldman and director Rob Reiner.
Oh, yeah.
They saw something special in Andre.
Okay.
And they were determined to make it work.
Right.
Reiner even recorded all of Andre's lines on tape.
Oh, wow.
So that Andre could practice while on the road for wrestling.
Wow. Thoughtful.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dedication on everyone's part.
It really is.
So this unlikely pairing, a literary mind and a wrestling giant, what was the result? Magic.
Pure magic.
Andre's performance as Fezzik became iconic.
Oh.
He brought a unique charm and presence to the role.
Totally.
That couldn't be replicated.
Yeah, no one else could have done it.
It was a risk.
Yeah.
That paid off beautifully.
Totally.
It's interesting how Goldman's own life, full of unexpected turns and bold decisions, seems to mirror the themes of The Princess Bride itself.
Like life imitates art.
That's a great observation.
It's like there's this interplay
Yeah.
between the man and his creation.
Yeah.
Each one reflecting and informing the other.
Absolutely.
It's really cool.
Speaking of reflections,
Okay.
you mentioned earlier that Goldman's son, Jason, initially didn't care for The Princess Bride.
I did, yeah.
What happened?
Well, at first, Jason found the book boring.
Yeah.
But then something remarkable happened.
Right.
He saw a photo of a young Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What does he have to do with this?
Well, at the time, he was an aspiring actor and bodybuilder, hoping to play Fezzik if the movie ever happened.
Wait, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Fezzik?
I know, right?
I never would have pictured that.
It's crazy.
Right.
Of course, by the time the film was actually made, Schwarzenegger was too big of a star.
Oh, yeah.
They couldn't afford him.
Right.
But for Jason, seeing that photo of a younger, hungrier Schwarzenegger sparked something.
Interesting.
Do you think he saw a reflection of himself here?
Maybe.
Someone defying expectations.
I think there's definitely something to that.
Yeah.
Over the next 2 years, Jason went from being a bit overweight and apathetic to a 6'3" excelling in school and life.
That's amazing.
Wow. That's quite a transformation.
Yeah.
It sounds like the inspiration from The Princess Bride, even indirectly through Schwarzenegger's aspiration to be a part of it, had a profound impact.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a testament to how stories can touch our lives in unexpected ways.
Absolutely.
And for Jason, that touch was linked to The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
A book written by his father years earlier.
Oh, wow.
The whole story is full of layers, isn't it?
So many layers.
It makes you realize that The Princess Bride is more than just a book or a movie. It's a reflection of real lives.
Yeah.
Real passions.
Yeah.
And real dreams.
I love that.
It really is.
It is.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, really?
There's so much more to uncover about Goldman's life.
Okay.
And the legacy of his beloved book.
I can't wait.
And like a good Princess Bride plot.
Yeah.
I bet there are more twists and turns to come.
Oh, I bet there are.
Stick with us.
Okay.
As we dive deeper into the world of William Goldman and The Princess Bride.
Sounds good.
Welcome back.
Okay.
Before the break.
Right.
We were talking about how Goldman's life
Yeah.
seemed to mirror these themes of The Princess Bride.
Right.
And that connection becomes even more fast. When we look at what happened after the book's success,
Yeah.
Goldman decides he wants to write a sequel.
A sequel.
Buttercup's Baby.
Buttercup's Baby.
That's something I know a lot of fans would love to read.
Of course.
But I've also heard that it never actually got finished.
Oh, really?
What happened?
I'm curious.
It's a tale full of twists.
Okay.
Just like a Goldman story.
Right.
He begins working on the sequel.
Okay.
Even travels to the fictional country of Florin for inspiration.
Wow.
But he runs into a very real and unexpected obstacle.
What's that?
The Morgenstern.
Wait.
You mean the estate
Yeah.
of the fictional author he created?
Right.
How is that even possible?
I know. It sounds unbelievable.
Yeah.
But remember, Goldman initially presented S. Morgenstern as a real person.
Right.
And it turns out there was this law firm claiming to represent this supposed estate.
Wow.
They were not happy about Goldman writing a sequel.
So the fictional world he created ended up having real-world consequences.
Oh, wow.
It sounds like he accidentally stepped into a legal labyrinth of his own making.
That's crazy.
Exactly. This situation highlights the strange intersection of authorship and copyright, especially when dealing with made-up sources.
It's like he wrote himself into a corner.
He found himself in a legal battle over a book that officially he didn't even write.
Oh, my goodness.
It sounds like something straight out of one of his stories.
Totally.
So what did he do?
Yeah, what did he do?
Did he manage to escape this predicament? This is where another iconic author enters story.
Look at that. Stephen King.
Stephen King.
What does he have to do with the prince?
It turns out King was a huge fan.
Oh, wow.
Goldman, desperate to stop this unauthorized sequel, reached out to King, hoping to enlist his support.
That's an interesting strategy.
I wonder if King was as amused by this situation as we are.
Yeah, right.
Seems so.
Okay.
Not only was he familiar with the book, but he offered to write the sequel himself.
He did.
Wow.
Stephen King writing a Princess Bride sequel.
That would have been something else.
I know. That would have been awesome.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
It would have been fascinating to see what he would have done with the story.
Totally.
How his style would have blended with Goldman's world.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the power of The Princess Bride. How it could inspire someone like Stephen King.
Absolutely.
But did he actually end up writing?
Tell me.
The answer is no.
Oh.
Buttercup's Baby was never completed.
Really?
Goldman himself had second thought.
About what?
About where the story was going.
Okay.
And we're left with this tantalizing mystery.
So it's like a cliffhanger.
So it's not just a legal battle, but a creative struggle as well.
Yeah.
Why do you think he changed his mind about the sequel?
Yeah. He must have been going through it.
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
But Goldman hints at some issues.
Like what?
With the Morgenstern estate.
Oh, right.
And also creative doubts.
Oh, okay.
He even mentions this unexplained Inigo fragment.
What?
Suggesting he did start writing.
Oh.
It seems like a combination of external pressures and internal uncertainties.
He was being pulled in two different directions.
That's like he was caught between these two forces.
Yeah.
The legal battle over who owns the story and his own evolving vision for the sequel. It makes you think about the pressure authors face.
Yeah.
Especially when dealing with beloved characters and stories.
Yeah.
How do you balance what fans want with your own artistic integrity?
Yeah, it's a tough call.
So we're left with this unfinished sequel.
Yeah.
Kind of literary what if. That will probably haunt fans forever.
Probably.
In a way, that's part of the allure, isn't it?
Yeah.
The stories left untold.
Right.
Often hold the most power over our imagination.
Yeah.
Speaking of untold stories, before we move on, I have to ask about that opening chapter.
Yeah.
Goldman did write for the sequel.
Okay.
The one titled Fezzik Dies.
He dies.
Ah, yes.
Wow.
The ultimate cliffhanger.
Really?
Of course, it's hard to imagine Goldman actually killing off such a beloved character.
Yeah.
But it does raise the stakes.
That does it.
It makes you wonder, what could possibly happen that would lead to Fezzik's death?
Yeah.
And what does that mean for the other characters?
Yeah.
For the world Goldman created?
I know, right?
It's like he's playing with our expectations.
Yeah.
Reminding us that even in a world of happily ever afters, there's always the potential for loss, for change, for the unexpected.
Totally.
So even in its unfinished state, Buttercup's Baby offers a glimpse into the possibilities, the potential for both joy and heartbreak that lie beyond the familiar ending of The Princess Bride.
That's really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that stories can continue to evolve even when they're seemingly finished.
Right.
They live on in our imaginations.
Yeah.
And sometimes the most compelling stories are the ones we're left to complete ourselves.
That's a great point.
This deep dive into The Princess Bride is already so much more than I expected.
I know, me too.
We've gone from heartwarming childhood memories to legal battles, from wrestling giants to unfinished sequels.
Crazy.
And we haven't even talked about the book itself.
Right. We haven't even gotten to the actual story.
Well, we've been exploring the context of the world around the book.
Yeah.
But you're right. The story itself
Yeah.
is full of fascinating layers.
Totally.
And I have a feeling you have some insights to share about that as well.
I think I do.
So stick around.
Okay.
As we finally dive into the heart of the Princess Bride.
Right.
Exploring what makes the story so enduring and beloved.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of William Goldman and the Princess Bride.
Oh, it's so good.
Before we took a break, we were talking about the unfinished sequel, Buttercup's Baby, and that jaw-dropping opening chapter.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Fezzik dies.
Fezzik dies.
It's hard to believe Goldman would actually kill off.
I know, right?
A character so beloved.
It's like, why would he do that?
Right. It feels more like he's challenging us, daring us to imagine what could possibly lead to such an event.
Yeah.
So aside from that dramatic opening, what else did Goldman reveal about the sequel?
Well, he doesn't give away too much, but we do know the story begins 3 years after the original Princess Bride. Buttercup and Westley are living their happily ever after. They have a baby daughter named Waverly. And Fezzik is still a part of their lives.
Okay, so at least we start with a happy family.
Yeah, they're all together.
But knowing Goldman, I doubt it stays peaceful for long.
You know him too well.
Right.
Yeah.
What happens?
He introduces this mysterious woman who is drawn to Waverly and hints at this darker element creeping into the story.
Ooh.
Something that threatens their idyllic life.
That sounds more like the Princess Bride.
Right.
We know and love.
A little more action and intrigue.
Adventure, romance, and lurking danger. It's all coming together.
It's all there.
But just as the plot thickens, Goldman stops.
He stops.
He leaves us with this unfinished chapter.
What?
And we never find out what happens next.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
So frustrating. It's like he's leading us to the edge of a cliff.
Right.
And then nothing. Why would he do that?
I don't know.
It's a brilliant, albeit cruel storytelling technique.
Yeah.
He leaves the rest up to our imaginations.
That's true.
We, the readers, get to fill in the gaps, to imagine the fate of Buttercup, Westley,
and Waverly,
and their daughter.
Oh.
It's almost like he's making us collaborators in the story.
That's a good point.
We become co-authors, taking those initial threads and weaving our own narratives.
Right.
That's a great way to put it. It speaks to the power of unfinished stories.
It really does.
They linger in our minds, prompting us to ask, what if?
Absolutely.
Long after we've closed the book.
Totally.
So we're left wondering about the fate of Buttercup's baby.
Right.
But what about Goldman?
Yeah, what about it?
Did he ever explain why he abandoned the sequel?
I don't know.
He offers a few explanations, but they're more like glimpses into his struggles.
Like what?
He mentions difficulties capturing the same tone as the original.
Oh, right.
Creative clashes with the Morgenstern estate.
Oh, of course.
And the challenges of revisiting a story.
Yeah.
So personal to him.
It sounds like he had a lot on his plate.
Sounds like a perfect storm of creative blocks.
Yeah.
And maybe a bit of fear.
Right.
Maybe he worried he couldn't live up to the expectations.
Oh, but could.
Or tarnish the legacy of the original.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps he ultimately realized that some stories are best left untouched.
Yeah.
Preserved in their original form.
That's true.
That's a beautiful thought.
It is.
And it speaks to the power of the Princess Bride itself.
Yeah.
It's a story that continues to capture hearts and imaginations.
Absolutely.
And maybe, just maybe,
it
was never meant to have a sequel.
It's perfect the way it is.
So what does this all mean for us
as
readers and fans?
Right.
What can we take away from this deep dive into Goldman's world?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the Princess Bride, in all its forms, is a reflection of life itself. It's full of adventure, love, laughter, and even a little bit of heartbreak.
Of course.
It reminds us that even the most fantastical stories are rooted in real emotions, real experiences.
Absolutely. It's also a reminder that stories can have a life of their own beyond the author's control.
Oh, yeah.
They can inspire, transform,
absolutely,
and even spark legal battles.
Legal battles.
Absolutely. And ultimately, it's up to us, the reader, to decide what those stories mean to us.
Right.
To carry them forward in our own unique ways.
I love that.
Well said.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for joining us on this incredible journey.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a wild ride full of unexpected twists and turns.
It really has.
Just like The Princess Bride itself.
Yeah, just like the book.
It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring the world of William Goldman and The Princess Bride.
Absolutely.
Whether it's revisiting the book, watching the movie, or simply letting your imagination run wild with those unfinished chapters.
Absolutely.
There's always more to discover.
There really is.
Until next time.
Okay.
Keep those pages turning, the adventures alive.
Yeah.
And remember,
what's that?
Life, like a good story, is full of inconceivable surprises.
So true.